I hated this boss at the time, but wow, this boss ended up really changing my life. Welcome in, fam. Much love. Trav here on a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm out grazing the sheep. We've got this sustainable agriculture conference in town, meeting a bunch of food growers, practitioners. Got so much energy today that I want to share with you, and I want to share with you some principles that I learned from a really hard and strict boss that I had that, at the time, I'm looking back about 7 years since I had this boss, only for one summer, but I learned so much that I want to share with y'all, because not everyone, I can just tell from working with people that most people aren't here. They don't arrive here. So let's go flashback to 2011. This was in between my junior and senior year going to college at University of Washington. I was taking summer school, and I was working during the summer as a server at a upscale conveyor belt sushi restaurant called Blue Sea Sushi in University of Washington District. What's the name of this? The mall up there. And this was a very, very profitable space. That was a really high speed place to work as a server, because in most restaurants people sit down, you have time for the chef to prepare the food and so on. At a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, it's like, okay, what does a server actually have to do? Well, we have extremely high turnover, or extremely high, we have lots of customers coming through, right? Very quickly, because they come and they pick their food, but the server has to serve them miso soup, has to serve them their drink, has to check them in, has to check them out. So you have a bunch, it's very high paced. And at the time it was really good pay for me, and this is maybe good pay for you as well, but I was getting paid like $22 to $24 an hour. So it's like, hell yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna work 40 hours a week all summer, etc., etc. So one of the challenges was this boss that I had. I'm a University of Washington boy. She was a Cougar, Washington State University, our rival sorority girl, and we're not supposed to be friends, but so it was coming in with that rivalry. Now she was very, very strict, but one of the things that at the time was very challenging to me and I thought was very unfair is, what's up, sheep? She seemed to hold me to a higher standard than everyone else. I saw other people getting away with stuff like being on their phone or various things, or that she would come to me and comment on, or other people were like getting away with it. It's like, what's the deal? Why am I getting picked on? And at the time, it's like I'm getting called out and focused on more than these other people when I'm trying so hard. But later on I realized, like, wow, actually for her to hold me to a higher standard than the other people, that's a huge compliment. And she is holding me to a higher standard than I was holding myself to, right? So I didn't realize at the time, but like that was not being picked on, but a massive sign of respect. So I've since later been like, yeah, okay, in my work, I need to hold myself, I'm taking this from her, I need to hold myself to a higher standard. You need to hold yourself to a higher standard than other people, not because you're better than other people, but because you have more control over yourself. You hold yourself to a higher standard, other people will follow your lead, and that's the most control that you have. Get out of here. No. Ram tried to ram me. As he will. I need to get him out there trying to eat this breadfruit tree. But you should know that I'm boss. Nope. Get out of here. Gotta assert your dominance. Wow. Chasing him around this tree right now. Okay. Back to the story. Right, so you need to hold yourself to a higher standard because you're in control of yourself. Now, that was a major lesson. Another major lesson, that was one of two major important lessons. I remember one day I came in, just wasn't feeling good, was feeling not good, I was having an off day on a Saturday. and I wasn't smiling as much as I could have been with the customers, and doing my job and hustling around. But boss is like, yo, you need, what's going on? Why aren't you smiling? You need to smile, basically. And I said to her, hey, I'm working 50 hours a week. Like, I'm having an off day today. And she said to me, you can't have an off day ever. Basically, you can't be sick and you can't underperform ever. And at the time I was like, that's absurd. I can't have an off day. I can't ever be, miss any time. And but looking back on it later, it's like, once again, she's holding me to a higher standard than I'm holding myself to. She thinks I don't have to be sick. She thinks I don't have to have an off day. I can still perform. So I've taken that later, and since then, I've never been too sick to get up in the morning and go to work. I've never phoned it in. I've had off days, but I've tried my hardest to not let that affect my performance. I see people around me sick, missing work. I see people around me under the weather. But a lot thanks to that, I have this more confidence in myself, because she had more confidence in me. And you should have that. Like, you should have no off days. You should not be too sick for work ever. You should not let the problems that you have affect the quality of your work. You should perform all the time. Is that realistic? Not necessarily, but if you aim for that, you strive for that, you will do a better job. Right. So basically, there's a lot of small things that led to the same thing. It's like holding yourself to a higher standard. There was another incident where the schedule changed midweek, and they sent out a new schedule, and I went by the old schedule, and I was late I had work scheduled during my class time, and I was sitting in class. My phone went off. Like, where are you? I'm in class. She's like, you have work right now. It's like, not according to the schedule. According to the new schedule, you do. So I biked and hustled my ass in there, so I'd never be late again. Okay, well, I mean, what's the deal with the schedule changing? Well, you should still just never be late and be on top of that, right? So, I mean, that was another example of like being held to a higher standard than her even. It's like, it's easy to be like, that's hypocritical. You should do better. You shouldn't be switching the schedule up. But it's like, again, a massive sign of respect of like, okay, I have to hold myself to a really high standard. So I think that, to me, that's one of the most important bosses that I've had in my life. And it was just for that summer. At the end of the summer, I went back to school and was basically school full-time / hustling. That's when I started working on a couple random businesses and started upgrading and blogging more. But I want to share that with you, because not all of you will have that experience, or not all of you will have interpreted it that way. I mean, for several years, I didn't think back too much on it, and I was like, she was a bitch. But then like 7 years later, I'm thinking, I'm so thankful to have had, her name is Marissa. I'm so thankful to have had that boss, because it changed the way I thought about my own performance and the standards that I hold myself to. And again, I have still, since then, I've never been too sick to work. I've gotten up in the morning every time. I was an hour late one time. Never been too injured. No off days. I believe you can have no off days. And it's more work to do that, because it's like, another thing that's bled off of that is holding myself to a higher standard in my non-work times. A lot of people obviously miss work because they stay up too late, either because they're drinking and partying with friends on Friday, Saturday, fucks up their sleep schedule, or they're watching TV or whatever, and then in the morning like, oh, I'm sick. We have control over how sick we are in the morning. A lot. We don't have full control over our health, but it's like, I'm holding myself to a standard where I'm thinking about Monday and Tuesday morning when I'm out on Friday, Saturday night, where other people you have control over your off days. You have a lot of control over that. So I want to share that with you, and I want to invite you to open up and share what's the most transformational boss you've had. What's the best boss you've had? What made them what made the experience good? And it could be someone that's really painful and you hate them at the time. I have other bosses I may talk about who I've learned a lot from. this memory really sticks out to me. So I want to share that with you. Much love. Thank you. Look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments, those of you who are going to share awesome boss experiences. So take care. Have fun. Peace out. Talk to you soon.